Welcome to the Talk Like a Leader podcast, where we explore the mindset, skill set, and habit set of leadership communication. Using these tips, techniques, and tactics, you'll be able to talk like a leader to build better relationships and get more done. Your host is Guy Harris, who has more than 20 years of combined professional and military experience in consulting, coaching, and training in areas like team and interaction dynamics, communication strategies and tactics, as well as emotional intelligence. Take it away, Guy.
Hi, this is Guy Harris. Welcome to the Talk Like a Leader podcast. This week's episode is titled, In Search of Positive. And today's episode is inspired by a conversation I recently had with a participant in a workshop I was leading. We were talking about the idea of positive to negative ratio in terms of how you interact with people. The concept of the Lasada line came up. The Lasada line was an idea proposed several years ago that said that in order for employees to flourish, they needed a ratio exceeding 3-to-1 of positive to negative. I think it was 5 or 6-to-1 was the ratio that showed up there. Now, the mathematical modeling that was used to create the Lasada line has been criticized heavily. So I don't know that 3-to-1 is the right ratio. I have seen articles and papers that say we need a 4-to-1 positive to negative ratio or a 5-to-1 positive to negative ratio. So I don't really want to get into a conversation about what the exact positive to negative ratio is. I am going to say that everything I've seen and everything I've experienced says that the positive negative ratio has to be better than 1-to-1. That in order for people to feel engaged and excited and productive and positive about their work environment, generally they need more positive than negative in order to be positive and engaged at work. Important point is the positive to negative ratio isn't 0 negative. There's room for some corrective comments, corrective feedback. I, by the way, avoid the use of the word constructive criticism because criticism is defined as basically tearing down or critiquing. And I don't know how you do that constructively. I don't know how you build up and tear down at the same time. So constructive feedback, as opposed to constructive criticism, or suggestions offered in the interest of helping a person improve, as opposed to criticizing the person. Sure, I can buy that. And there is some value to learning from our failed experiences. That's actually a critical element of learning, is to see where things went wrong so that we can learn how to make them right. So I don't really want to get into a deep philosophical discussion today in this podcast episode. I'm not proposing an ideal positive to negative ratio. I'm not arguing for the Lasada line, given the critiques it's received in the peer review circles of the last few years. I'm going to point to this general idea, though. People need more positive than negative in order to stay engaged. I think most of us can be comfortable with that general concept. Now, the challenge that was proposed by this participant in a class I was leading recently was, how do you do that? It's frankly hard. And the truth is, I find it hard because human nature says that we notice what didn't go right significantly in preference to what did go right. We notice what annoys us far more than we notice what pleases us. It's just kind of a general human condition. Well, if I want to talk like a leader and I want to engage my team, I need to be comfortable calling out the things that went well as specifically and as timely and as energetically, maybe even more energetically, than I'm willing to call out the things that didn't go well. And I've heard this comment before that, when things go well, why should I have to comment on it? That's what's expected of people. And I agree. And I also argue that getting paid is just kind of part of work. And if we paid them once, we wouldn't say, well, I paid you once, keep coming back. So if I want people to stay engaged and positive, I can't say I complimented you once and hope they run for 20 years on it. And that's kind of like the story of the married couple that after about 20 years of marriage, the wife said, you don't tell me you love me anymore. And the husband said, I told you when we got married, if anything changes, I'll let you know. I think any married couple would pretty much say that's not really how marriage works. And while a marriage relationship and a work relationship are not identical. They're still relationships. And if a marriage relationship requires some investment to keep it healthy, and a parent-child relationship requires investment to keep it healthy, if a friendship relationship requires investment to keep it healthy, I think we see there's a thread there that relationship of any kind requires investment to keep it healthy. So as a leader, I want to make sure I'm investing in the relationship with the members of my team so that they know I'm willing to notice, call out, and recognize positive results, positive behaviors, positive efforts, as much as, probably even more than, I'm willing to call out negatives. Now, only if I want people to be positive and engaged and enthusiastic about working with me. If I want them to be fearful and compliant rather than positive and committed, then I will use negative. But if I want them positive and committed, I'm going to use positive. Now, how do you do that is really kind of the heart of the question raised by the participant in the class I was leading. And the answer I offer is this: be in search of positive. Be looking for the opportunity to notice when people do things right. For most of us, maybe not everybody else, I know it's true for me. I don't naturally pay attention to the positive. I don't naturally make an effort to call people out for doing things well. I have learned that it's helpful to be on the lookout for positive, to be looking for those opportunities when someone did something well. They got a good result. They got a good outcome. They put in a good effort. And then call it out and let them know that you noticed. And I think if you will just make the effort to be in search of positive and be prepared to comment on it with a quick note, a quick email, a quick stop by their office, some way to let them know that you noticed they did something well and you're willing to notice that and let them know about it in very clear and specific terms, then you're probably not going to have to worry about what is the ratio, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 5-to-1, whatever it is. You're going to be positive enough of the time. And as Stephen Covey said, you're going to be investing enough into the emotional bank account that when the time comes, you do have to drop the one negative. It'll be received better than if the negative was the only thing you called out. And if you're in search of positive, you can build a strong, engaged, and committed team. And you can talk like a leader. This has been the Talk Like a Leader podcast. You can listen to this show every week wherever you get your podcast. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'm Guy Harris, and thanks for listening.